Goeiedag, my name is Wildkard. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for following my contents. I really do appreciate you being here. The Springboks 2022 first test match, first test team was announced like 3 days ago. I had to wait for the Welsh team to announce to put up this list, but yeah, this is a match that's heavily favoring the Springboks, so the coaches have made some adjustment for the Springboks team, trying out some new combinations. It's very clear to see. The Welsh has been a bit of a low, so they lost to Italy in the final rounds of Six Nations at home. Yeah, Alan Wynne-Jones' 150th historic test match was lost at home to Italy. Yeah, that was quite an embarrassment for Wales. So they are coming into this game with two very important differences. First, obviously, they have never beaten South Africa in South Africa before. And also that loss against Italy could be motivation that they needed to push through this historic moment. They were on the receiving end of, history-making moment for Italy. They really wanted to create that opportunity for themselves. So going into this match, there's one thing that we know about Wales is when they're back against the wall, they will swing, they will bite, they will do everything they can. It's gonna be a difficult task, but that is something that you should never do. Underestimate the Welsh. And the Springboks looking like a pretty solid team, pretty standard strategy looking like for the Springboks once again. 6-2 split on the bench, looking for that forward dominance, looking for that defense, looking for that just physicality in the four-pack, building that platform for the backlines for whatever they want to do. It looked like the Springboks has opted for Elton Jantjies on the back. Handré Pollard misses out, so that means that the Springboks probably going to have less of that kicking game and more of that running game out of Jantjies, a little bit of different play style potentially, and that'll be very interesting to see how they're going to execute that game plan. Wales, however, does have some big names returning from injuries after long periods off. George North is back at number 13, one of the biggest names the Welsh side has been missing. And this Welsh backline is probably the best backline that Wales has presented in the last probably a year and a half now, yeah. They did win the Six Nations last year, not like 2021, in 2021, but that was still missing George North in the backline. So this is a really, strong team the Welsh has put up against the Springboks. And if the Springboks underestimate the Welsh, this could be one of those days that many South Africans would like to forget. So first thing going to this game, we have talked about this already. Wales has a pretty terrible record going into South Africa. They have never been to South Africa away. They have lost 8 out of their 12 games, and that includes the November International Series. After winning Six Nations last year, they just went on to losing just about every game, including a home against Italy, a game that they really, probably was overconfident. They showed a lot of talent in that game, but really a lack of heart. It was almost like everybody was ready to go home and expected an easier win. And Italy came out and was able to steal the game under the Welsh in the dying minutes. So this was quite an embarrassing thing that the Welsh would really like to forget. And a win in South Africa will really do that for the Welsh. So really, it's a hungry team. It's a team that's back into the corner. And if the Springboks underestimates the team, goes to that comfort zone and not really bring it, this could be this could be a contest that is much closer than we're expecting, to be really frank. Springboks did come out with a bit of injuries. There's a few selection things that we just talked about, but Peter du Toit had a bit of injury issues with still recovering from a shoulder surgery, so he's not going to be available for the first test match as we saw it in the selections. We will look at the selections. In terms of history of both teams, overall the history favors the Springboks. 37 games played overall. Springboks won 30 out of 37. And the Wales only 6, 1 draw. So most of the Welsh wins were during the Warren Gatland era. and also during the era where the Springboks was kind of in a massive low from 20 16 to 2018. But in recent times, the Springboks was able to come out with 2 wins over the Welsh in Cardiff last year, and obviously at the World Cup. It was a really tight contest at the World Cup. That was much closer than many team has expected, and that's the thing. That's the thing with Wales. In big games, they do take up another gear, and nobody expected Wales to be that close against South Africa in Japan. It was very, very closely contested. The physicality in that game was enormous, and many people did not expect that. And going into this game, let's have a look at the lineup. So obviously there are 2 really key aspects of the game that is heavily contested for this matchup. First is the front up battle. The set pieces for the Springboks is the platform that the Springboks heavily relies upon in all of their matches to set up their backs for the game that they want to play. So the front rowers, the locks, the loose forwards are all designed in a way for defense, for rush defense, and for that set piece dominance. And in the back line, the second area that the both teams are looking at is obviously the kicking game. The Springboks is basically the king of the kicking game right now in 2022. Even watching the club rugby, heavy kicking game is involved. The Springboks do also have probably some of the best finishers in the world in terms of running game, but we have to see how they go here. There is an interesting selection here. Elton Yenshis at 10. 100 Pollard not selected at all, not even on the bench. No particular reason given by the coach, just that, they're looking at trying out different things, basically. So Yenshis at 10. He's more of a ball running player. He did play that game against the All Blacks last year and winning that game. I think he started in that game. Yeah, pretty sure he started in that game. He did have that. Oh no, I think he finished that game maybe. But he was definitely involved in that game. Showed a different style that the Springboks can play. After obviously being a bit outmatched by the kicking game against the All Blacks. So again, this is something that's really promising for the Springboks. They have been criticized for being too one-dimensional, and having Yenshis here at 10 is a really good opportunity for the Springboks to try out their running game, especially with some of the players we're going to have a look at out wide that is in support for the Springboks. Obviously on the bench, just quick look at the Springboks, 6-2 split. Once again, looking for the forward dominance, looking for that world-famous sort of bomb squad setup to finish off the Welsh. So let's look at the team from the start. Ox Enche comes in at the loose-head position. 7 test caps for Springboks. He had been really good for Springboks last year. Just an absolute beast of a man on the field, occupying a lot of space, and really good scrummager. Exactly what the Springboks looking for. Ticks those boxes that they were looking to do. His opposite number, Gareth Thomas, comes in at number 1 for Wales. Both players only have 7 test caps. So yeah, 2 players. We'll just see how they go against each other. Bungi Bunabi comes in number 2. He showed a bit of a running game against the All Blacks, almost scoring a try, which was really exciting. Maybe he'll show more of that this time for the Springboks. But overall, he's in the team for that set piece, for the line out perfection, for that line out more control, and he just, as good as he can get for a hooker for those roles. Number 2, Ryan Elias comes in for number 2 for the Welsh. His line-out execution is a little bit off. We saw that in the Six Nations. And some people, there was like one time against England where people said Mario Itoje disrupted Adam Beard. But I felt like the timing is a little bit off. Not as clinical as Bungi Bunabi. So this will be a huge test for Elias, especially he's up against, once again, some of the best locks in the world. His line-out throws has to be on point. Number 3, Frans Malherbe gets the nod in the tight head position, back in the fold. His form was a little bit off last year, and then he ended up with a bit of injury, and he was replaced by Trevor Nyake. Nyake is not selected, and his performance for the Stormers, based on what I saw, the limited games that I watched, was much better form than he was last year, to be really frank. So I'm looking forward to seeing him again at a tight head position. He is one of the best tight heads in the world, especially in 2019. But we shall see if he's back in form or not. It's a big test for him. coming up this weekend. Frasmel Herbate, number 3. He's up against Dylan Lewis for the Welsh, number 3. He's technically up against Gareth Thomas, but, his opposite number, Dylan Lewis, tight head for Wales. The Wales forward pack, especially in the scrums, is not that good. Yeah, they really struggled against the Wallabies last year. They weren't that good in the Six Nations, middle of the pack. So, up against the best scrummages in the world, this will be a huge test for Dylan Lewis. I hope they're, drilling on those scrummagines. Otherwise, this is going to be a really big key area that the Welsh might just lose out on. The game could get blown out of proportions if the scrum doesn't work for the Welsh side. And in the locking position, the best lock in the world, in my opinion, Eben Etzebeth comes in at number 4. The way he's able to read the opposition line out, the way he's able to react to the hooker, is quite scary and very, very, I guess, it's quite a talent to do what he can do in the lineouts. Also, he brings that physicality. He brings that stability for the Springbok team. He controls that forward pack quite well with what the leadership quality he brings in as well. So Eben Etzebeth, number 4, the key player for the South African set piece. Will Rowlands comes in number 4 for the Welsh side. Only 9 test caps. Big step up for him. Basically, he's taken Alan Wynne-Jones' spot. Interesting selection here. Alan Wynne-Jones is on the bench. So, yeah. Pivac is obviously trying some things as well. But, yeah, Rowlands, big opportunity for him to step up. Lou Diega gets number 5 jersey for the Springboks. Comes in. He normally comes in, I think, last year. He normally... Was he normally on the bench last year? No, he was... I think he is... No, I think he's... From memory, I think he normally starts at 5, but towards the end of last year, he was coming off the bench as a finisher. Nevertheless, he gets number 5 jersey. Again, another exceptionally good line-out operator. He was basically considered the future of the Springbok rugby. He was allegedly the apprentice of Victor Matfield, and a lot of hopes has been built onto him, and he has delivered quite a lot of big moments for the Springboks. Coming in at number 5, Adam Beard, a guy has kind of filled the shoes of Alan Wynne-Jones ever since he's been injured, and has always been a really solid player that's next to Alan Wynne-Jones as well. So Adam Beard comes in at number 5. And the lineouts, Adam Beard will be probably the go-to man, and he's going to be the most reliable person in the Welsh side. And so with that in mind, the Springboks probably will target him quite a lot in the lineouts. It makes the lineouts a little bit predictable, as Adam Beard is clearly the option, which is why I'm surprised that Alan Wynne-Jones is not here. If Alan Wynne-Jones is on the field, then there are 2 pretty clear lineout receiving options. But with Adam Beard, the only one on the field that's an obvious clear recipient. Yeah. Anyway, Sia Khaleesi comes in number 6. Dylan Lydiate returns to the Welsh side with his veteran 64 test caps, comes in at blindside flanker position. Sia Khaleesi is technically the open side for the South Africans. And yeah, Sia Khaleesi, I don't know what else to say. The captain, exceptionally good, tough, good defense, good running game. And just a lot of physicality that he brings onto the game. Franco Mostert, he's basically the blindside flanker for the Springboks. He's technically a lock as well. He brings in that third lineout option for the Springboks. He's a world-class lock, to be really frank. Just operating in that 7's jersey. The Springboks do like to have a big number 7 to pressure that center field rush defense, and also add more weight into scrummaging, and the third lineout, world-class lineout option. This is something that a lot of rugby teams do nowadays, and Franco Mostert is one of the best in that role. Tommy Raphael gets to debut at number 7. Yeah, really tough day for a debutant in South Africa. Jasper Visa comes in number 8 for the South Africans. And now there's a lot of people who thought that Evan Roos from the Stormers should have taken number 8 jersey. I felt so too. But the one thing that Jasper Visa does bring is that he's really good at pressuring the high ball kicks. His work rate around the park is really extraordinary. So having him at number 8, I can see what they were thinking in terms of the kicking game. It's one of those things that, it's one of the things that in a particular strategy he's really suited for. And I feel like for that kicking strategy, the Springboks really likes to do with Faf de Klerk's box kicks. Jasper Visser is a good option here. Evan Rose is more of a running, attacking, hard defense kind of player, number 8, like more traditional style. Visser is more of a, high ball pressure style of player out of the 8 position. So interesting selection there at number 8. I think that's kind of like the logic behind it for his selection. So obviously we just mentioned the man. Faf de Klerk comes in number 9 next to Kieran Hardy. Faf de Klerk is one of the kicking options that the Springboks really like to use. The box kicks, he will do it anywhere on the field. Inside, like just outside your 22, probably inside your 22. He'll probably kick the ball. He probably will box kick in front of your try line, but from the way that he plays. But yeah, he's not afraid to kick the ball. He's not afraid to put the ball behind your defensive line. And Jasper Visser, especially a high box kick around the rock, Jasper Visser will be the man that pressures that kick more often than not. And that's probably what they had in mind in terms of strategic combinations, is that Faf working with Visser with those box kicks. Number 10 position, Elton Jantjies comes in at number 10, which we've already talked about a little bit. He gets the nod over 100 Pollard. Pollard is more of a traditional Springbok style, long range goal kicking, and just, kicking game, field control. Very similar to Dan Biggar, in fact, in terms of play style. 100 Pollard, which is probably, I think is probably why they kind of wanted Jantjies to have a go here. Just 2 different styles, 2 very, very different styles, different kicking styles as well, kicking game on the field as well, just to shuffle things up a little bit, making the game a little bit more unpredictable for the Springboks. And obviously Wales is the underdog here, so it's a good opportunity for the Springbok to polish that other, side of their game that they kind of like criticize not able to do a lot. So Jantjies having that running game, having that bit more pace around the ball and a bit more carries, maybe he can set up some more opportunities for the fast excitement machine out wide for the Springboks. We just talked about Dan Biggar. He had a bit of injury just before the team was announced, maybe a month ago, in the final rounds of the Premiership. So he was clear to go, obviously, comes in number 10. He was the captain for the Welsh team last year. I do feel like his leadership is, given what the Welsh team had to deal with last year with the amount of injuries they had, I thought Biggar did really well as a captain, really brought in a lot of tempo, a lot of urgency for the Welsh team when they needed it. So I have to give the credit to where credit's due. Dan Biggar, his game is like a 9.5 out of 10. Everything he does is extremely good, extremely clinical. There's very few mistakes out of Dan Biggar, whether you like him or not. He is a bit of he likes to run his mouth a little bit. It's a bit of he likes to run his mouth. But in terms of his actual game, he is very, very, very good. And when it comes to a kicking game, I do think Dan Biggar is probably slightly better than 100 Pollard. I think Dan Biggar is better than 100 Pollard in terms of the kicking game. So that's probably a good thing, having Yank, not just to, match 1-to-1 on the field, having a bit of a difference to try to, offset the strength of Dan Biggar's kicking game a little bit, is really good here for the Springboks, having Jantjies at 10. And that's also another reason. Like we mentioned, the players out wide, the speed, Marco Zola, Mapimpi, the best finishers probably in the world. He was the winger of the year, according to World Rugby. Despite not really getting that many opportunities, he did able to score a lot of tries for the Springboks. 7 or 8 last season. It was quite high for the amount of ball he actually got through in the game. So it's something that I think the Springboks really wanted to explore as well. Having Jantjies at 10, see what he can do with Mapimpi out wide, setting up some options, give him some space. And yeah, Mapimpi delivers. Give him space, he delivers. One of the fastest, most clinical, most exciting players out wide at 11. He's up against Josh Adams, who has been on and off. He was pigeonholed to play center last year. Not last year, earlier this year in the Six Nations. Yeah, it was a bit of a low point for him as center, but number 11 is much more suited position for him in the Worlds. And yeah, that also tells you how like limited Wales had with the injuries. Josh Adams had to play outside center. So he's back at 11. Looking forward to see how he can go there up against Mapimpi. Damien Delende comes in number 12. The center combination, Delende and Lukamu Arm. Many to believe that this is the best center combination in the world. We'll have to say about Samuel Karevi. Will maybe wanted to challenge that title, but this is a World Cup winning combination. Delende, hard running, just solid 12, everything you want. He's one guy who's consistently able to break over the advantage line for the Springboks, exactly something what you want out of 12. Lukamu Arm, a guy who's exceptionally good with space. He gets the space out wide, he will carve you up. He's almost like a winger, just running out of the 13 jersey. As good as you can get, as good as you can ask for. For the Welsh side, this is actually a really good center combination as well for the Welsh. Nick Tompkins, I thought was very impressive for the Welsh in recent years. He was exceptionally good for Wales in Six Nations this year, despite their awful performance. His work rate is outrageous in the backline. He makes most tackles in the backline, most carries. He is extremely good, absolute working machine. Nick Tompkins, I think this guy has a huge future ahead of him. And his inside center and outside of him is George North, returning from a long injury. Finally gets that opportunity to play for Wales again. Want to return to play against the Springboks away. This will be a good welcome back to Test rugby for George North at number 13 position. Now, number 14, two of the most electrifying players in the planet right now, Cheslin Kobe. He is every time I talk about him, it seems to be the same thing. He's probably not human. I still wanted to see a DNA test or some kind of proof that this guy's not a cyborg. You can see he's 171 centimeters tall. He is the go-to guy challenging the high ball for the Springboks. Yes, I know. You think that someone who's 171 centimeters is a bit short to challenge the high ball for the Springboks. He is the go-to guy, and he's consistently able to deliver the ball for the Springboks under the high ball. Yeah, he is just that damn good. Not to mention the fact that if you give him like a tiny bit of space, he will destroy you. He will absolutely destroy you on the field. So he's so dangerous, so good. Whether it be the kicking game, if Dan Biggar misses one kick, he's gonna punish him. So Cheslin Kobe, the most dangerous guy on the field by far, and comes in number 14. He's up against what the Welsh called Greece Zammit. Louis Rees-Zammit. He's only 21 years old, and he's already had 15 test caps for Wales. Jesus, man. He is a exceptionally good finisher. He's the only player in the Welsh team that has the ability to set up his own tries. He can get the ball and just put a bit of a kicking through and sets himself up and chase that down and sets himself up for a try. He's the only guy that has that ability to create something out of nothing for the Welsh team. Extremely dangerous. So this is a really good matchup here in the number 14 jersey. Two players, both have the abilities to just, carve you open with a sniff of open space, and very exciting to see what's going to happen on the field. Finally, in the fullback position, this is the best player the best player in South Africa, Damien Valemsa. Now, many of you guys might think, hey, he's not the best player. Come on, man. What you don't understand is Damien Valemsa covers the entire Springboks backline from 10 to 15. Yes, not only that, he's a world-class 15. He's literally the cover for the entire Springbok backline. If anybody gets injured, he can switch position. He plays for 12 for the Stormers. And yeah, he is that talented. And why he's the most important player, the best player for the Springboks? Because without him, the 6-2 bench split is almost impossible for the Springboks to do, because it's going to be way too risky for the Springboks to play only 2 backline cover, to not have another person that's talented enough to cover the entire backline out of one player. So Damien Valenza gets the nod at 15 jersey. He's actually better on the bench, to be honest, but he is, super talented. Based upon what I saw, his performance for the, did I say Stormers? Yes, for the Stormers, he's actually developed a lot from his game from the previous, from the year before. He showed like a lot of breakdown skills out of the 12 position. Like a world-class 12, able to turn over the ball at the breakdowns when the opportunities presented himself. This guy is unbelievable. I'm really, I'm just, every time I see him, he gets better. I am just like impressed every time I watch him play. So I can't wait to see this guy perform on the weekend, to see how he goes against Wales. And he doesn't really get to start very often. I think the last time he started for the Springboks at 15, he actually had a pretty terrible day. But hopefully this will be a better start for him at the 15 jersey. And we'll see how that goes. And Lim Williams for Wales comes in number 15. The go-to guy for Welsh for number 15. Good kicking game for him as well. And exactly what he wanted under the high balls. Now the back line. The reserves. Let's quickly go through them. Springboks 6-2 reserves. Start with Malcolm Marx at hooker position. One of the best hookers in the world, in fact, gets on the bench. Shows you how good the Springboks forward pack is. Like, he literally, Malcolm Marx, like, if you were to rank all the hookers in the world, Malcolm Marx would be like 1 or 2 in the world, right? And the only one that you could argue that's better than him is Bungi Banabi. He was actually the hooker, the player of the year for the hooker position last year. So that tells you he's on the bench. How stacked the Springboks front row is. The world-class hooker on the bench. Lewis Lake gets the number 16 jersey for the hooker position for Wales. Stephen Kitsoff, Stormers' favorite son, he gets number 17 jersey. He is really, really good. Again, one of the best loose air props in the world gets to be on the bench. Shows you what the Springboks has in mind. Vincent Koch skews at number 18 jersey over Trevor Nyake, and I'm actually a little bit surprised to not see Trevor Nyake at number 18, but this is the Kitsoff Koch combination has been really good for the Springboks. Koch was initially not selected to any of the starting positions or bench positions early in the Lions tour. It was Nyake and Malherbe, but Malherbe got injured. Koch had an opportunity to step in for Malherbe, and ever since he stepped in, he's been pretty solid for the Springboks, especially as a finisher. He does have a little bit of discipline issues when he comes off the bench, but that's very minor to everything else he brings in terms of that set piece dominance that the Springboks really wanted to look for. Rhys Carey comes in number 17 for the Wales. Thomas Francis, probably the best prop for a Welsh team. He had a bit of a concussion issue last year, and there was a lot of controversy with him playing with a concussion. People think that he was not supposed to be clear to play. There was some questioning of the concussion protocols that was done in the Welsh camp, but that just shows you how important he is. The Welsh really desperately needed him to be on the field, and may have did some shenanigans to get him onto the field earlier than he should have been during the Six Nations. So that tells you how important he is. For the next 2 players, the 2 debutants for the Springboks, Salman Morat gets his opportunity at number 9 jersey, and Alrai Lowe from the Bulls gets the number 20. Many people probably feel like Evan Rules deserved a spot here, but we shall see. And up against those 2 debutants is the most experienced player in the history of rugby, Alan Wynne-Jones. At 150 years of age, he is the best Welsh player, probably still for Wales. Even at his age, 150, he is still exceptionally good. And also, he brings that leadership quality of the bench as well to close out the game. Something that the Wales definitely had it in mind with the South African 6-2 forward split. Josh Navidi, another exceptionally good finisher for the Welsh. He's normally a starting player for the Welsh team, gets on the bench at the number 20 jersey. Again, obviously, this is a strategy that the 6-2-4 split that the Welsh wants to manage with their bench. Wildkard Smith is the 6th forward for the Springboks. And Thomas Williams comes in at number 21 for the number 9 position. Herschel Yenshis, the substitute for the Springboks for number 9 jersey. Gareth Anscombe, substitute for number 10. Good to see him back. He was injured for a very, very long time. He only got his return against the All Blacks last year in the internationals. So finally to see him back again for the Welsh side is really, really good. And finally, Willie LaRue comes in. I felt like Jesse Krill probably deserved a number 23 here. But yeah, Willie LaRue gets number 23 jersey. His performance has been on and off for the Springboks. Sometimes really, really off for the Springboks last year, leading to him being dropped. But yeah, he's getting a chance to redeem himself at number 23. Owen Watkins comes in at number 23 for the Welsh. And that is the full lineup for both teams. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, let me know your predictions. I feel like this should be an easy win for the Springboks, but the Welsh is definitely prepared, definitely has a strategy and plan that they wanted to execute. And yeah, we have to see how this goes. Let me know your thoughts, like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Yada, yada, yada. Really appreciate you being here. And I'll see you guys a bit later tomorrow or the day after for the review. And thank you for watching. Cheers.